Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of 3 Minutes to Midnight. My name is Maria Alexander, and I'm joined by my co-host, Robbie D. Robbie.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So this is going to be the most controversial topic we will ever have a chance to hear. And we want to show you guys the truth about the Hebrew Israelites from the very beginning to the present day, using not only biblical text, but historical fact. This show is going to cover an overview of the history of the people of the Bible, from the emergent of Adam to Abraham, all the way to who these people are on this earth today, and descended from the line of Jacob. We're also going to go over the kingdom and the Hebrews, that the Hebrews served under the God from Uruk to Egypt to Babylon up to the Roman Empire that we are under today. Whether you are a Hebrew Israelite, a Christian, or just straight out everyday Gentile, you are going to want to hear these shows for the next few nights.
Yeah.
So whatever your religious preference, your skin color, or your personal opinions, we come together with you guys out of love and with the same goal of learning and fellowshipping and sharing the truth. So with that, I want to welcome our guests. Robbie, you want to introduce everybody, please?
Yes. Just 1 second. I'm just going to ask everybody, if you're not talking or nothing, can you just mute your mic so we can, because we do get a little bit of feedback on whatnot. So that'd be great. I'd just like to say before we start, I'd like to thank you, Laurie, for giving us this opportunity. Well, for giving me this opportunity to be able to bring the guys together and been able to present this, because this is something that I've been trying to get together for the last 2 years. Yeah, I tried it on True Frequency Radio, and unfortunately it was too much of a hot button topic for that audience, so unfortunately I couldn't do it there. I had the opportunity to present this show on Stranger Than Fiction News, but because of the fact that it was such a short span of promotion, it really didn't have the impact that it should have had. But we know that we've had 6 months, right, since I actually brought you into the fullness of the truth. We've now got to this point, and I'm absolutely glad and absolutely humbled to be able to welcome GE, Militian, Yasser, Marty Martin, and Ada Yawadam Maram here to the show tonight, so we can explain to all you people out there listening tonight, right, the true history of the Hebrew Israelite, from Adam through to Abraham to present day, all the way through to Messiah, to Mashiach, or you would know him as Jesus, right? But we're going to explain a few things to you, right? We're not only going to do that, we are going to explain a missing history that has been totally destroyed and changed for today's people. And we are going to bring you up to present day, and we're going to do that over 3 or 4 nights. So I'm just going to welcome you guys. If you like, just want to say hello and stuff to everybody, and just a brief of who you are and whatnot, that would be great. We'll start with you, G. Hello? Hello, can you all hear me there?
Shalom.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. Shalom. I'm G, giving all praises to Ahaya Bahashim Yeshaya Wukudash Rubat. Everybody's having a blessed evening as we move forward. I was woken up a few years ago, and the Most High just been working with me. He's been leading me in the right places, been dealing with the right people, and it's an honor to be here this evening.
Brilliant, excellent. It is an honor to have you here tonight. G's going to be basically the meat in the sandwich, so to speak. He's going to be coming with a lot of the knowledge with the scriptures, a lot with the history, and we're going to work around him So I'd just like to say hello to you, Mart, and you know, would you just like to say hello to everybody and just a brief about who you are and whatnot?
Shalom, everybody. My name is Marte Martin. I came into the truth a couple of years ago. I've always, without knowing it, been trying to follow uh, what the scripture says. I've always believed in the Son, the Messiah, and the Father. But after I got out of the military and really started looking at this world and reading the actual book, it completely changed my life. Instead of leaning on everybody else's understanding, being led to the truth and testing, studying to show myself approved, testing all things so I don't perish for lack of knowledge, which I think is always important. And no hatred, no bigotry, no a critical, pure thought. That's what it has to be. And I'm very honored and
Right.
humbled that we're able to get together and speak some of this. And I strongly recommend to everybody, when you hear something that is upsetting to you, just write it down and then look it up for yourself.
Excellent. And I'd just like to say hello to Adar. Even though I only met, we met today through March. Yeah, we've had a very long discussion about a lot of stuff, and we were we're on point, and we're on agreement with a lot of things. And Adar, would you like to just like to explain who you are and to say hello to everybody?
Yes, indeed, indeed. Shalom, all praises to a high end the character of Yeshaya. I've been in the truth now, coming up to 7 to 8 months here. But even prior to coming into the truth, I have been neglected and kicked completely down by numerous amount of churches, all because of the truth. What I mean by that is things in scripture that I know that they were teaching that was false. One, tithing. I know tithing was never about money. That was one thing. About the law, you know, so forth and things of that nature, because all throughout scripture, even in the book of Matthew, he teaches that whoever teaches anything contrary to my law, to the law, then you should be considered least into the kingdom. So why is there a doctrine that concocted about, saying that the law is on the way with? And, coming into the truth, I understand a bit understanding of who I was as a Hebrew Israelite, of being Hebrew Israelite descent, and knowing my responsibility as a light unto all nations. And this right here has definitely opened my spectrum up, to the most greatest degree, but even more persecution that we suffer, because once again, why is the gate that lead into destruction? So you can look at the number of people who was actually in the truth and look at the people who are actually in Christianity, and you see that wide is the gate that lead to destruction, and narrow is the gate that lead to the path of life. Shalom, this is what I wanted to speak on. Be blessed.
Brilliant.
Pleasure to meet you.
Well, a lot of people here tonight that are in the chat, a lot of our listeners already know myself and Laurie, but don't really know about my testimony. But I'm in the UK. I've been an MC and DJ for the last 30 years, and in the last couple of years, I came into the truth, or what I thought was the truth. I mean, Christianity brought me to the understanding of what the New World Order was, and as far as I knew, that was all it was. That was it. But I came into a different truth that I was shown, as according to the scriptures, through a very good friend of mine called Ranger T, Benjamin. And it's unfortunate that he can't be here tonight, because he would have been a great addition to the team. But when he does come about, he will be. I will be bringing him onto the show, and
Yes.
Obviously, you all know Laurie Alexander, but there's a lot of people that are coming in tonight for the very first time, because we've not only got Hebrews Israelites listening tonight, we've got a lot of Christians tonight, and we've also got a lot of Gentiles and people that are actually not in the truth, that don't believe anything. We've invited them in here tonight because we basically want to give you the story of the truth that you're missing, because whether you know it or not, we are in the end times, yeah. Whether you have ever read the Bible or not, there's several thousand prophecies that have come true, except two, right? And tonight we're going to give you a history. Now, Laurie, would you like to say hello and explain to all the new people who you are, even though you are the main host of the show? This show wouldn't be happening without you tonight.
Well, yeah, my name is Laurie Alexander. I've been in the truth for a number of years, 42 years actually. But it's only been in the last few months that I've actually built a relationship with the Most High based on biblical truth. And I have Robbie D to thank for that, because he has definitely opened up my eyes to many of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight. And, you know, it's been a long trip coming. We've tried to get this to go before, and, you know, we're going to just hope that we don't have any technical difficulties, because, you know, Satan's not really going to want this truth to be put out there. I want to welcome everybody in the chat room, and I want to welcome everybody that's new to our channel and who's going to be watching this. And I just want to remind you all that we're doing what we're doing tonight, and we're presenting this to you out of love, out of the sheer and just a complete, pure love of the Most High. And you don't have to agree with us. You don't have to like us. You don't have to, you know, you don't even have to, like I said, agree with us, but just give us a chance to put this truth forth. Break out your Bibles, check us. You know, as Martin said during when he was talking, you know, we are to test all spirits. You know, we are to test everything, and that's what we're challenging. We're challenging you to do that tonight. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass this along to GE, who's going to start this presentation. GE.
Just want to take your mute off the mic.
Shalom. Okay. Yeah. I'm still new to touch phones, man.
It's okay.
That's cool. That's all right.
I know. But yes, I would like to start first with saying yes, I agree with everything that was said before. I like to use the term "the Matrix," what we live in. That movie, I've seen it before I was awake, but it really touched me. Especially the part when he says, "You're a slave, Theo," and basically was telling him everything that he thought was real wasn't real. And coming into the truth, that's, you know, in a nutshell, what you find out. You know, about 98% of what we're told is the truth. We're given a different form of history. We're given a different form of what love is supposed to be. What everything is regarding the Most High, we are told pretty much a different version of it. And coming into the truth, that's one of the first things that you see, the veil literally getting lifted off your eyes, the scales falling from your eyes. So going forward, I just like to say I went through this. I had to literally, as the scriptures say, you got to become a fool to become wise. I had to put aside everything that was told to me, everything I believed, and everything that I felt like, no, that can't be true. And then once you read and you look into it and you realize that a lot of what we follow is the doctrines and ideas and imaginations of men. So if anybody, like Marty says, he knows I'm famous for saying that, look it up. And I'm not saying that boastfully. I mean, like, really look it up and get an understanding for yourself. So, starting off, I'd like to start right in Genesis. Everybody got their sword?
Absolutely. We've got our Bibles out.
Okay, we're going to go to Genesis chapter 2, verses 7. We're going to start with basically the first man that was formed, which was Adam, and the Hebrew Adam. Okay, it says, and the Most High formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. This is the creation after the first the first days where he created the earth, and then he created the sunlight, and he put the waters above the firmament from the waters below the firmament. But this is about man. So this is when he created man right here, just going back over what he did. And when he created him, and the language that was spoken was actually Hebrew. So the first language in the earth that was ever spoken was Hebrew. Now, it's not the modern form of Hebrew that is prevalent today. Just a side note here, I was doing some studying last week on what's going on in Israel and what went on in Israel, how they twisted the map around, because where they are claiming that that's the chosen land, they actually turned the map upside down. So where they claim, oh, this is the city of David, isn't actually the city of David according to the scriptures and according to history. So when he spoke that Hebrew, what they also did was desecrate the language, what they actually speak. I mean, the Israelis, the Khazarians, if you will, what they speak is a form of modern Hebrew. Is really Yiddish, and it's close to German. It's a spin-off, just like, you know, most of the other things that was spun off and changed that they did. Because in Jubilees 12, chapter 12, you don't have to go there, but if you want to write it down, Jubilees 12, chapter 12, verses 25 through 26, he speaks about Abraham and how he sat Abraham down and he opened his mouth and he opened his ears and he began to speak with him in the language of creation. That language was Hebrew. And he even says in verse 26 that he took it out of the earth with the flood. Okay, because well, you know, I mean, after the flood, because, you know, man was wicked, and he caused the confusion at Babel. And you can read about that in Genesis 11. So the first man is formed here, and the language is Hebrew. So it's only right that Adam was the first Hebrew. So if you look into science, because science always likes to skew things as well, they'll say, oh, the first people were African. Actually, the first people were Hebrew. And all nations and nationalities came from the Hebrew gene, the Hebrew seed. So as we go forward here, they have a table of Genesis chapter 10, verse 1, if y'all want to turn there with me. I'm going to read three verses from there dealing with Noah.
What was that again?
I'm sorry?
What was that again?
Genesis chapter 10, verse 1.
10:1. Okay, thank you.
Because this is where the split came, because there was two major splits as far as the nations, and the Most High explains that throughout Scripture that he split the nations. He split the nations up and give everybody their lot. Because when everybody was together, what were we doing? We were building the Tower of Babel. So right. he split up the nations, and he split the languages up, and he gave everybody their lot. So this is Genesis chapter 10. This is also called the Table of Nations. Okay, and I'm just going to read verse 1, then I'm going to skip all the way down to verse 21 through 23. So we'll start at verse 1. It says, now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, because only 8 people were saved from the flood. Noah actually preached for 120 plus years for people to get right, turn to the Most High, keep the commandments, not be wicked. But of course, as just as today, they didn't believe it until the raindrops started falling. So the generations of sons of Noah were Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber. That word Eber is very, very important. Okay, because Eber, that line right there, that was because, you know, Shem was the father of the Hebrews, and Eber, that word actually means crossover. That's the term also used for Hebrew. The brother of Japheth the elder, even to him were children born. So this is just saying Noah, he had three sons. Okay, Shem, he's the father of he goes down through Eber, through Isaac and Jacob. Okay, and you also have Ham, which is the father of all the African races. And it says that in the Bible dictionary that Ham was the progenitor of all the dark races, but not the Negro. So Ham had four seeds. He had Canaan. He had the Ethiopians, which are called Cushites. It's like one more. No, it's 2 more. Oh, the Egyptians, which were called Mizraim. And I can never remember that last one. But they were the North Africans. I think they were called Lu, if I'm not mistaken. And Japheth Japhethite was the progenitor of the Asian races that we see today. They were actually the first inhabitants of the land we call Uruk. Okay, because like for example, the Ashkenazi, Gomer, they all came through Japheth. Their lands were taken over, and then their names were adopted. Okay, so that's where everybody came from. And Shem, through Shem came a multitude of races, because as we go down, you're going to see he told Abraham, you will be a father of many nations. I know a lot of people, they struggle with that. They're like, well, how can Abraham was called a Hebrew, which I'm going to get into next. They're like, well, how is it that Abraham was a Hebrew and had all these nations? Because that's what the Most High said. You know, it's either you believe it or you don't. Or you look into it to understand. But it said the children of Shem, Elon, and Asher, Oxford, and Lud. I'm sorry, Lud was actually Shem and Aram. And the children of Aram, Uz and Hul and Gether and Mash. So all these people came through the line of Shem. Okay, so Shem is the progenitor. The reason I'm focusing on Shem here is because Shem is the progenitor of the Hebrews, the people that were prophesied way back in Genesis to go through exactly what's happening in the earth today. So if you don't mind, we can go down to Genesis, which is chapter 11. We're going to go to verses 10 through 14. If y'all have any questions, you feel free to stop.
No, you continue. You continue.
You're good.
Okay. It says, so I'm starting at verse 10, where Genesis chapter 11, starting at verse 10. It says, these are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot, and excuse me if I butcher these names, Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begot Arphaxad 500 years and begot sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 5 and 30 years and begot Salah. And Arphaxad, Arphaxad, verse 13 now. Arphaxad lived after he begot Salah 403 years and begot sons and daughters. So that was one of the commandments of the Most High, be fruitful and multiply. Okay, so as we can see, they were. And Salah lived 30 years and begot Eber. Okay, so we're going to skip down to verse 26, and it talks about Terah. Okay, because Terah is actually the father of Abraham, but his name wasn't Abraham at first; it was Abram. Okay, it says, and Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Okay, so we see now, you see it goes all the way from Shem to Eber to Abraham. Okay, so that's all the same line, you know. We go, then we can, if you don't mind, we're going to go to Genesis chapter 15, verse 13. Because this is something that we're going through to this day. I'm going to pull out a little bit of history on it. But it says, and he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs. They shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Now, the time spent in Egypt was actually 430 years. Okay, and if y'all want to turn real quick to Acts, and if you don't, because we're going to go right back to Genesis, but this is also written in the New Testament. In case we have any, people that, when I came to the truth, all I knew was New Testament. So I had to reread the New Testament. Then I went back and read the Old Testament. And in precept, all of them. So in Acts chapter 7, in verse 6, okay, and it says, and Ahiah spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, that they should bring them into bondage and entreat them evil 400 years. Now, I know some people might be wondering, why am I going there? Because the first black man was said to hit the shores of America in roughly 1619 AD. And as we know, we're in year 2016.
Can I interject?
Yes, go ahead.
And people need to recognize that because one of the things that comes up a lot is they'll say that, well, black men had sold the first black man into slavery or had the first black slave. When we talk about people of color that are supposed to be black, Remember, the separation is Ham and Shem. And that's something that everybody, when they do their research to test all things, they need to make sure that they notice the difference from the African and Hamite tribes versus the Negro Shem tribes.
Right.
That's all I wanted to say.
No, you're absolutely right. And I know a lot of people that may ascribe to Egyptology are to Kemet. Now there's some of them I build with, but there's a lot of them that don't believe that the Africans were selling different people. And I tell them the same thing. They weren't selling their own people. There's a bunch of tribes in Africa, and there's a bunch of history in Africa that we're blind to it as far as what's shown to us. So no, you're exactly right, and that there's a difference between a servitude and there's a difference between the curses of slavery.
Mm.
Hey, GE, you mind if I interject on something, my brother?
Oh no, please go ahead.
Oh, definitely. And I'm right in the boat with you, with both of you brothers on that. And I think a lot of our Kemetic brothers, they don't like to admit some of the things, like far as what the Egyptians did and other different tribes did to the fallen Israelites, because they're very strong when it comes to about the unity of black people. So I believe that's one of the major things that they suffer with, that they don't want to admit that. But I can, and this is just absolutely logic. And you can take this to the bank.
All right.
Okay. There's so many different and still colored people all around the continent of Africa. I'm talking about all around. Okay. Detach Israel from that. There's still a great number of them. Now, step into the land where Shem was once ruling. And when you step in there, the colored people are 1.5%. So this is just logic that the Shemitic was really the vast majority that was sold into slavery, other than the Hamitic. And that's just logic. That's pure logic. You can take that to the bank. Yeah. Go ahead, brother. Finish up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. That's real. That's real. And that's exactly right. When they when I spoke with my father and also with my grandmother, and and they still had because just like Africans do to today, which I mean Africans, people living in Africa, both Hebrew and of Hamitic, and even if you go way to India, there's a lot of cultures that pass their stuff down through just spoken word. A lot of the songs that the slaves used to sing used to help them navigate. Okay, I guess. But no, and that's exactly what they told me, is that our people came from Nigeria. And when I looked at Nigeria, like you said, I seen two main tribes, was the Igbo and the Yoruba. And even as I got older, came to the truth, I asked them again, like, you remember when you told me that? It's like, yeah. So no, you're exactly right. We have to look at, we can't just, again, just like Mark said, we got to look at all history. We got to look at all history, because the thing about it is, we weren't just sold to one nation. We weren't just persecuted by one nation. We were persecuted by all nations.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it didn't just start or stop with Africa. It actually goes deep into Europe as well. But we will get to that at some point, because we were put onto ships from many parts of the world, not just in Africa. That was just the main source, but there were other sources as well.
Right, exactly. Because I mean, we're still back in Genesis, and the Most High was telling Abraham about his seed. So we can go back to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis chapter 14, verse 13. Okay, because this is one where brothers want to just say, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but I see this going around a lot, and it's misinformation. So I got to chop it down with the sword. Abraham was not a Syrian. There was no Syrian tribe. And no one said he's from Ur. Yes, he spent time in Ur. I'm not going to debate that, but there was no Ur tribe. There was no Uruk tribe. He was a Hebrew, and he was called that by the Most High. So let's go to Genesis 14 and 13. And it says, and there came one that escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, For he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Ishkar, and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. So right there, you see the Most High taught him Hebrew. Why? Because he was teaching them his heritage, his language that was taken out of the earth way back in 3 chapters earlier, in Genesis 11, when they were of one mind and one consent in building that tower. So then we go to Genesis 17, verse 5. And this is when the Most High gave Abram that prophecy, because a lot of nations came through Abraham. And nations is another word for nationality. Christ gave a prophecy: nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. We see the kingdom against kingdom. That's these wars and these rumors of wars he was discussing. But nation against nation is, I know we've seen a bunch of influx of racial tension on all sides. And this is what the Messiah predicted would happen. So this is Genesis 17 and 5. And when you understand that, you know, this was already written, this was already said to happen thousands of years ago, and just pray on it, it helps you deal with it on the spiritual side. But it says, neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be called Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee. And he's basically telling Abraham, I'm going to make you a father of many nationalities, because Abraham didn't have any seed. Okay. Till later on in his life. And we're going to go to, again, just to show this is in the New Testament, we're going to go to Romans chapter 4, verse 18. This is, I believe this is the book of Paul, a book that Paul wrote. That Romans is deep for y'all that can, you know, y'all that take the time to go through it. He was writing a lot about stuff that was in the Old Testament. Because he says, who against hope believed in hope, that he might become the father of many nations, according to that which was spoken, so shall thy seed be. So again, this is talking about Abraham and his seed. Okay, but right now we're going to go to Genesis 49 and begin to talk about the seed that that the Most High gave the prophecy of, about them serving 400 years in a strange land, because it went from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. Okay, and through Jacob came the 12 tribes. Okay,
I'm so sorry again, brother. I'm so sorry. Can I also interject one more thing?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Here's another thing. This is how we know that the strange land wasn't anywhere near close. Is because once again, the Hebrews were familiar with the land of Egypt.
Righteously. And I can say this on my end. I spend a lot of time, and I praise the Most High for it, that I've been able, like, I'm talking to people online, just random people, when I would start doing videos and start speaking on this. And some just said, hey, just look where they're from. I asked them where they're from. And I met people from Jordan, all the old area, Russia, over there in the Middle East, Lebanon. I mean, you name any country over there. I mean, people all in Africa. And they'll tell me, yeah, I mean, we know about that over here. So it seems like most of the blindfold is on America. Because when I go outside of America, it's like, they're like, yeah, we know about what you're talking about. Yeah, we know about the scripture. So it's just the fact that we gotta, people in general, we gotta wake up. So no, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run through Genesis 49 and just gonna go over the prophecies that was given to the sons of Jacob, because these are the people through which the 12 tribes came. So if everybody's there at Genesis 49?
Yeah, we are. Yep.
Okay.
I'd just like to say, anybody that's tuning in and listening in, if they haven't got a King James and they're using a different version of a Bible, it might be prudent just to, I mean, if you're on the computer, you can get any King James verses online at any point. But you know, we're going to help you through it anyway. So you know, don't panic if you can't get that. You know, G and everybody else is going to help you through it. You know, but we are going to give you a complete picture. Yeah.
Right. So, right. The King James is the best Bible. It has the Hebrew Strong for the Old Testament, and then it has the Greek Strong for the New Testament. And it correlates to help bring out a picture of what exactly he was saying. So when you're dealing with, like you said, other Bibles like the NIV or there's a bunch of them, Young's Literal, a lot of those Bibles remove verses, especially the NIV. That's the one that's really pushed. They removed a lot of verses in the Old and especially in the New Testament. So yes, most definitely. But I'm gonna start here at verse 1 and just read what's basically happening here. In Genesis 49:1, it says that Jacob called unto his sons and said, "Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father." Because as we know, Jacob, when he wrestled with the angel, he was given the name Israel. And another token to point out here is that if you notice, whenever the father was about to die, a lot of times in scripture, even with Isaac, they gave prophecy of what would happen to their children. We go to verse 3. He goes to Reuben. Okay, it says, "Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power." It says, "Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, and defilest thou it. He went up to my couch." So this is a prophecy against Reuben. Reuben went up and dealt with his father's concubine. It wasn't his mom, but his father had a concubine that Reuben dealt with. So that's why it says, "Thou shalt not excel." Okay, so it's basically saying, Reuben, you're gonna be like, as you know, I mean, just like if it was a race, Reuben would be like the last place. So you're not gonna excel. So he gave that prophecy. In verse 5, he talks about Simeon and Levi. Now he notice also he talks about them together. Okay, Simeon and Levi used to roll together, and they're even together to this day. It says Simeon and Levi, the brethren, instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. O my soul, come not thou into their secret, into their assembly. Mine honor, be not thou united. For in their anger they slew a man, and at their self-will they dig down a wall. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. So Levi especially, Levi was the line of the priest. Levi was the line that Moses came through, Moses and Aaron. They were Levites. So Levites was responsible for our sacrifice. And when we had our feast days and when we had atonement or whatever we had to come and sacrifice, tabernacles, I mean, you name it. This was the job of the priest. And also the brother spoke about tithes earlier. The tithes was for Levi. I mean, it was for also the stranger and the widows, the fatherless, and that as well, and the poor. But firstly, it went to Levi, because Levi did not have any land in Israel. Levi was amongst the tribes. Levi lived amongst the tribes. They didn't have any land. You can look on the 12-tribe land of Israel. You'll see Judah had some land, Manasseh had land, Simeon, Reuben, but not Levi, because Levi was amongst all of them. Used to tie to you.
May I interject?
Yes.
Also, for the listeners, please keep in mind that when the Bible or the word of Torah is speaking of Israel, it is speaking of the nation of Israel, which is a group of people that comprise of the 12 tribes. It's not talking about the land. The land that was promised into was first Canaan or Canaan, or however people would say it. And then it was divided up amongst the tribes. And because the tribes lived there and they were known as the Israelites, they would say, this is the land of Israel. And you have to remember that, because that is a great trick that they've played on the whole world. And if you look it up, and you actually look it up for yourself without listening to somebody telling you, you'll find out the truth of that, because that's how one of the ways that the world is deceived. That's all I want to say. I wanted to make sure that people understood that Israel is not a place. Israel is a people.
Absolutely.
Exactly. But yeah, let's not get that confused with the state, the illegal state of Israel that's formed through the Balfour Declaration of after World War II. We're not talking about that Israel, guys. We're not talking.
No, we're not talking about the Rothschild formed Israel.
Right.
But we will get.
We will get to that though.
It'll probably be on day 3 or 4, but we'll get there.
Right.
Excellent.
So bear with us. We will get there.
Go ahead, G.
Okay. I'm sorry, y'all had a beautiful step, but nah, yes, you're definitely right. Saying that Israel is a people, not a land. So just something good for them to chew on, because there's 12 tribes, and all these 12 tribes were already prophesied. You see, to be scattered. So we can go to the next tribe here, and this is about Judah. Okay, this is the tribe of which Yeshaya, the Messiah, the begotten of the Most High, came through. He was prophesied to come through from Isaiah to Jeremiah. I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of years before anything. And it says in verse 8, Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey, my son. Thou art gone up, he stooped down. He crouched as a lion and as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet. Again, Judah was a kingly tribe. It said until Shiloh come. That word Shiloh, that's right there referring to the Messiah. Okay, because he got the scepter. You know what I'm saying? It says, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. So that's when I know, we all want peace, but that's when the real peace is gonna come with Yeshaya. Binding his foal until the vine, and his ass's coat unto the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Okay. So this is talking about Judah here, and it's giving a little prophecy too about the clothed in the blood of grapes. It talks about Yahshua returning and stumping through the land of Edom. That's going to be like his first stop. Okay, so it's going to be as if he treaded through a wine press, it says. Okay, and that also precepts the Revelation, chapter 1. So we're going to move along to Zebulun. Zebulun, this is verse 13.
Yeah.
It says, shall dwell at the haven of the sea. He shall be for an haven of ships. His brother shall be unto Zidion. Okay, well, his border shall be unto Zidion, or Zidon. And the thing about this is, I'm going through these tribes. I don't want to get ahead, but all these tribes were prophesied what would happen if they did right by the Most High. They're prophesied again to say what would happen if they did wrong by the Most High. All through the scriptures, all through them, it says the word of the Most High came unto Israel. He said, speak this into the house of Israel. Speak this into Israel. So these are the people that he said, if you follow this law, it's in Deuteronomy 28, verses 1 through 15. If you follow these laws, then you'll have all this good will come upon you. But then he says, if you don't follow these laws, all this evil will come upon you. And that's verses 15 through 68, which again we'll cover later. But in those that's exactly what happened was the latter part of that chapter, because as he told Abraham, your seed will serve in a foreign land. So then we're going to go to verse 14. But that's the biggest thing about these tribes that people ask. And it's like, we got to look by the curses. You gotta look by the curses and by the history, because we would be scattered and also forget our history. So Issachar is as a strong as crouching down between two burdens, and he saw that the rest was good, that the land that it was pleasant, and he bowed his shoulder to bear and became a servant unto tribute. Okay, so this is talking about Issachar. So Issachar is going to be strong, and he's going to deal with two large burdens. Okay, so this is the tribe of Issachar here. The next one is Dan. Now, the interesting thing about Dan is Dan was cut off.
Right.
And you can read that in the testimony of Dan, why he was cut off and what he did. Long story short, he rode up against his brother. You know, he rode up against his brethren, and he rode off and started dealing with other nations. Just completely just left dealing off with his brother, and went with other nations, and then with those other nations fought with his brother. So this is why it says Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. But then it says in verse 17, Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path that biteth the horse's heel, so that the rider fall backwards. Now we know what the serpent refers to. That's the evil one. You know, the serpent has never been a good creature in scripture. So we see Dan, you know, he allowed sin to creep in. This is why if you go to Revelation chapter 7, when it numbers the 12 tribes, Dan is not there. Okay, so verse 18, it says, I have waited for thy salvation, O Ahiah. So this is moving on in the chapter. It goes down to Gad. It says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Now, a troop, the word for troop is army. So it's saying an army, a literal army will overcome him. But he's going to overcome at the last, because the thing about Gad, and again, I'm just going through the tribes, not, you know, breaking them down all the way as of now. But the thing about Gad is, and I've heard this from both the Hebrews, Christians alike, just, you know, all across the board, that they'll say Gad was taken out. There's no more Gad. They'll say this tribe was completely taken out. None of the tribes were taken out, because if all the tribes was taken out, there wouldn't be gates in the kingdom with these tribes' name on it. I mean, what gate are you trying to go under if you're blessed to make it? It's going to be one of these gates that are the tribes that I'm naming here. None of the tribes was cut off, except for Dan. But Dan is even welcomed back in as a Gentile, because Dan left his heritage. Okay, so then it goes down to Asher. It says, out of Asher his bread shall be fat, he shall yield royal dainties. So it's saying where Asher is going to be, it says bread shall be fat and he shall yield royal dainties. So this is talking about food and a delicacy there. Okay, goes down to Naphtali. It says a hind let loose, he giveth goodly words. Okay, and I'm just going to go down to Joseph. It says it's a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well whose branches run over the wall. In scripture, when it talks about branches, it's talking about descendants. You know, because it said that Yasha, which is Yeshaya, is of the branch of David.
Right.
Okay, that means yeah, right. So that it means a descendant. So I was saying that Joseph's descendants run over the wall. He'll have that many descendants. It said the archers have sorely grieved him and shot at him and hated him. So he's gonna have people come. You know, all these tribes got people coming against them at some point. So they shot at him and hated him. But his bow to bow to strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty power of Jacob. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. Okay, so again, talking about Egyptology, on the Meneptah stone, it says that in the Levant, when we were going through our thing with Egypt, it was saying that there was a land of shepherd herders over there. And as we know, Joseph reigned in Egypt. So that's something else to think about. And they also found, I'm not trying to skip ahead, but it just coming to me, when the world was going through that famine, when he interpreted the Pharaoh's dream, they actually found the the caverns where the corn was stored to feed everybody. Everybody was coming to Egypt. They found them because they were like, these ain't burial tombs. They're not, they don't match anything that they found in the pyramids or around the pyramids. They actually look like storages, like they were made for storage. They all ran into each other. So that's just something else to throw out there. But it says, even by the Creator of thy father, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with the blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breast and of the womb, the blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him, the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brother. Verse 27, Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel. And it is that their father spake unto them and blessed them, everyone according to his blessing he blessed them. Okay, so we're dealing with these people, because these are the tribes, but Benjamin was a person that had a tribe. Like Joseph was a person, tribe. Naphtali, person, tribe. Asher, person. So you can read a lot about them in the book of Jasher, because it was war with the Canaanites and the Canaanite tribes. A lot of people, and I'm gonna just say atheists for the most part. I see it mostly on their side. They'll throw out verses from Deuteronomy where it says, "You shall utterly destroy the Canaanites, the Jebusites, and all the ites." And it'll say you need to destroy them, and they'll bring that out as like, the Most High is wicked, he's evil, he's genocidal. And really, if you look into the history of those people and what they did, they constantly were dealing with evil. They constantly were dealing with baby sacrifice. They were eating each other.
Yeah.
They were dealing with the Nephilim.
Yeah.
Witchcraft. I mean, anything wicked that you can imagine.
Oh, we had this come up the other night where it was mentioned by our guest Douglas Dietrich that there was two gods of the Bible. There was the Old Testament God, which was cruel and evil, and there was the New Testament God who'd made a covenant with all the nations and stuff. But from where I know, and I didn't want to interject in any way, right? Because
Right.
my man comes with some really good information. He comes with some quite frightening information, to be honest, about a lot of things that
that part there was that.
But from what I know,
we don't want people to think that we're Gnostic in any way or shape or form. So.
No, not at all. But from my research and from what I knew before I even came into the fullest of the truth, that I knew that the Most High of the Old Testament, I'd just like to say at this point that if you say Yahweh or Yeshaya, we're using the original Hebrew names of the Most High, and it's no confusion, but the Most High of the Old Testament, and was ordering the tribes to do what they had to do, because basically they were these peoples were serving Satan. Yeah, they were sacrificing to other gods, to Baal, to Moloch, and whatever. And also, some of the peoples weren't actually fully human.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Dealing with a whole different beast, if you will. And for those who kind of who may be like, oh, okay, now y'all going off, I would like y'all to go research King in Egypt. His name is King Aha, and that's AHA, King Aha. They found his grave out there in Egypt, and they found, I believe, 120 graves outside of his tomb. Those 120 graves were his 120 servants, all about the age of 20 through 25, were all killed and beheaded and buried with them. They sacrificed the servants after the king died. This was a normal practice. And this is the reason why the Most High said, as they do in Egypt, thou shalt not do. You know, and he even had mercy even after that, because he was like, well, when he seen that we didn't eradicate the Jebusites and the Canaanites and all the ites, he said, you know what? No, we're gonna leave them in the land, and we're gonna see if you follow my commandments or no, if you follow me or if you follow them. And as everybody knows, through Scripture, we dealt with the Canaanites, and that brought about a lot of the downfall of the children of Israel. And you can read a lot about that in the book of Jasher, because I think it's also referred to as the book of wars. So if you want to know, well, how did these people get here? How did these people get here? And how did that come about? You can read a lot about it in the book of Jasher. I'll go right now to Jasher 47 and 33. And I'm just going to read just a little excerpt about it, because in Genesis 30, in Genesis, I believe, I forget the chapter, but it's basically Isaac, when he died, he gave Jacob and Esau a prophecy, and basically he said Esau would live by the sword, and Esau was wroth with his brother Jacob because Esau had sold, because Esau was Isaac, let's say per se, wanted to give Esau the covenant, and Esau sold it to Jacob for some lentil. Now here's another thing in the book of Jasher. In Jasher 27, you'll read that Esau killed Nimrod. Who is Nimrod? Nimrod was the first ruler after the flood. He was Ethiopian. Esau killed him in the forest. So after Esau killed him, he came unto Jacob, panting, hungry, out of breath, and was like, hey, give me the pottage. He's like, I don't care about my birthright. And he gave it for some red pottage. And pottage is basically uncooked meat. It was red, uncooked meat. And from there in Genesis 36, it goes about the dukes of Edom and more history that's behind that. But in Jasher 47 and 33, it says, and the whole land of Canaan became an inheritance to the children of Israel for an everlasting inheritance. And Esau with all his children inherited the mountain of Seir. Because Esau went to war with the Horites, and they took the Seir mountain, also maybe referred to as the Caucasus Mountain. Okay, so the whole land of Canaan became an inheritance to the children of Israel. And a lot of people, again, the Egyptians be like, Canaan took your land, you're actually Canaanites. No, when the lots were thrown, okay, dealing with Noah, and Ham got the hot part. Even in ancient Egypt, wasn't called Egypt, it was called Chem, the land of Ham, because that's who they respected their father. It actually means burnt and black. Okay, so when they was dealing with the land of Egypt, Japheth got the colder land. You know, the colder land like Russia, and that was all originally Japheth's land. And Shem got the temperate land. Okay, so what happened was when the Canaanites were supposed to take South Africa, they ended up taking Shem's land. And even their brethren was like, why are you doing this? The Most High didn't give you this land. The Most High gave you Africa, gave you this. But it said, if you take this land, you're going to be a curse. So this is what happened with the Canaanites. And a lot of I'm speaking from my experience, and also brothers that I've talked to in the Christian church. We are taught as people of color that we are Canaanites. And when it says that Canaan is going to serve his brother, and they twist that scripture because Canaan was supposed to serve, but it didn't say anything about Canaan losing their heritage. It didn't say anything about Canaan getting whisked away somewhere. That was a very specific thing, because in the same book of Deuteronomy, as I stated earlier, the Most High was like, no, okay, we're going to leave them in the land and see if you're going to follow me or them. And just to precept that, when David fought with Goliath, a lot of people like that story, because that's how it feels in life sometimes. We're fighting against Goliath. Goliath was a Canaanite. Okay, and Moses even slew Og. Okay, Og was also the scientists. They've been uncovering a lot of stuff in the caves. Og was a giant. That's in Deuteronomy chapter 3. So you can see more of that again in the book of Jasher. It goes through all the wars. So all the stuff that if you feel like, oh man, they kind of skipped over that fast, and they took the book of Jasher out, and it's referred to twice in the Torah.
So it's a authentic canon.
May I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things that for the listeners, remember when he's quoting like from the book of Enoch, Jasher, books that are considered not canon, you have to remember that it was the Romans who, with their Council of Nicaea, decided what was going to be placed into the Bible. That was the beginning of the confusion for everybody. And so when you're judging this information based solely off the Bibles that are of today, make sure you read those books that were taken out as well, so you can make informed decisions. There's a lot of information there that is biblical, that is true. Those books are referred to. Some of them are. I don't know if all of them are. I'm still studying myself. Like I said, I'm in the process of learning, just like everybody else. But I test all things. Study, test all things, so you don't perish for lack of knowledge. That's all I wanted to say.
No, very, very good point. And I was going to say, up until 16, I believe 1680, 89 or 88, there was a group of books called the Apocrypha, which connected the years from the Old Testament to the New Testament, and the Catholic Church decided to remove it. And they also put themselves forth as the authority on the Bible when the Bible was never a Roman book, never a Catholic book. And when you're reading these books that are lost books, they all precept. That's nothing. So like Marty said, once you study and look into them, you'll realize what's canon and what's not, because it'll all precept together. And very good point. It removed a lot of books. So I would like to go first into our history in Egypt, because Egypt, again, that was a 430 years. It wasn't the 400 years that was talked about with Abraham. It was 430 years. And we're going to start in Genesis 37. We're going to go verses 4 through 5. Then we're going to jump to 27 through 28. And it says, and when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him, and they could not speak peaceably unto him. This is about Joseph and his brethren. Okay, remember the 12 tribes. This is Joseph. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelite, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother in our flesh. And his brethren were content. They were passed by Midianite merchantmen. So these Ishmaelites, when Abraham dealt with Hagar, because Sarah was barren in the beginning, he dealt with Hagar, and he had Ishmael. Ishmael was the progenitor of the Ishmaelites. We can read about that in Genesis chapter 16. Ishmaelites, they dwell with their brethren, and they basically never left their land, the Ishmaelites. Okay, so they were Midianites, merchantmen. They were salesmen. So these brothers are mad at Joseph. Joseph's interpreting dreams just like Daniel did. You know, it's a quality that the Most High bestowed upon the prophets, and they didn't like him because of that. But it says and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit. So they threw him down in the pit. And they were like, well, we can't just leave him down there until he died. So they drew him out of the pit, and they sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. I thought that's interesting, because Judah sold out Christ for what, 30 pieces of silver? So again, you know, it's wickedness, but check it out. The Most High used it for everybody's benefit, because by them selling them to the Ishmaelites, we're going to go through it. He ended up reigning second to Pharaoh in Egypt and saving the world from a famine. So he used the evil for good. Just like when Judah sold out the Messiah, he was able to die for the sins of his people, and through them being the light to the Gentiles. So the Most High's plan is always correct. So they brought Joseph into Egypt. So we're gonna go down now to Genesis chapter 39, 1 through 2, and
we're going to go until where Joseph was brought down to Egypt. So this is Genesis 39, chapter 39, verse 1 through 2. And it says, and Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites. So the Ishmaelites sold him because Joseph, of course, he was sad. They're like, what are we going to do with this man? They're like, we might as well just sell him. So it said, which had brought him down thither. And the Most High was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man. He was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. So, in one of the Pharaoh's guards, an Egyptian, bought him from the hand of the Ishmaelites. So, next we're going to go to Genesis chapter 40, verse 1 through 5.
I'm sorry, what was that one?
Genesis chapter 40, verse 1 through 5.
Thank you.
And it reads, and it says, and it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. Because Joseph ended up going to prison. Okay, and it says in the captain. So Joseph's in there. Then they bring down the chief of the butler and the other chief. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and he continued a season in the ward. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in prison. So they dreamed a dream, and one of them, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but one of them had a dream about I think it was I want to say, I got to go to the chapter, but it was like a bird a bird was eating. One of them had a dream where a bird was eating, and I think it ate something. Let me go there because I want to say it right. I want to make sure I say it right, because Joseph interpreted the dreams for these two gentlemen, but where he messed up was he put his faith in those men. He was like, well, if you talk to the Pharaoh on my behalf, and they'll let me out. And he's putting his faith in man, and the Most High was wroth with them because of that. And the Most High made Joseph stay in the prison 12 more years. So give me 1 second. Let me pull that dream up because I want to get it right, because this is one of my favorite verses. I just can't remember who had what dream. Y'all forgive me.
I think I got it right here. It's verse 15.
You got it?
If you like me, it says, correct me if I'm wrong. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews. Here also have I done nothing that they should put me into dungeon. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head.
Right.
And then the uttermost basket. Okay, go ahead. Let's start at verse 7.
Read that. Yeah, read that.
And the autumn. This is chapter. This is Genesis, for everybody who don't know. Genesis chapter 40, starting at verse 17. And in the uttermost basket, there was all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, this is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. The 3 baskets will represent 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the bird shall eat thy flesh from off thee. And it came to pass the 3rd day, which Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants. And he lifted up the head of the chief butler and the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again. He gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand.
Right.
He hanged the chief baker, and Joseph had interpreted to him Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him.
Righteous. And that's exactly what happened, because he was like, hey, well, put in a good word for me. Once, just like a lot of people in the world, you may break your back for, and then you reach out to them and they're not there for you. So there's a lesson right there too. Keep our faith in the Most High. But thank you, brother. Oh no, that was I just wanted to break down them dreams, but that was you hit it right on the head. That was exactly what I was referring to with the bird eating out of the basket on his head. That guy was hung. The other guy had the cup, and then the Pharaoh reinstated him. So no, that's exactly right.
Con.
So I'm gonna go now to Genesis. Let me see. Okay, yeah. Now we're gonna go to the Pharaoh's dream. So go just one chapter over. We were in Genesis 40. Now we're gonna go to Genesis 41, and we're gonna go to 2 verses 14, 15. Then we're gonna skip down to verse 41. And it says, and then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he shaved himself, and he changed his raiment, and he came in unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream. There is none that can interpret it. Now this presets back to Daniel, with Nebuchadnezzar. You remember when he was like, I'm gonna make y'all, he called all his wise men and his sorcerers, and they couldn't interpret the dream. He said, I'm not gonna tell you what it is. You tell me what it is, then break it down to me. They're like, only the guys can do that. And he's like, well, you deal with the guys, right? So you better start dealing with them. I'm gonna make all of y'all short about the height of your head. So Daniel came in and interpreted it. So this is kind of like a precept to that. And again, with these dreams, I just want to throw this out there because it just hit me to say this. Every dream ain't sent from the Most High. You got to, like Marty say, you got to test all things. You got to understand that sometimes our imaginations run wild. When the Most High sends people visions, I'm not saying he doesn't do that, because he definitely does. I'm an example of that. But I understand that when he does, he's going to confirm it. He's going to confirm it, and he's going to show you, and it's going to be in Scripture. It's not going to be anything that's going to, it's not going to be anything forward. Okay? Because there's a lot of confusion out there when every time somebody has a dream, they want to try to interpret it a certain way, and you really got to let the Most High show you, and it's going to be in Scripture. So I just want to put that out there. But Pharaoh said, there's none that can interpret it, and I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. And Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. He shaved himself, changed his raiment, and came in unto Pharaoh. So, he, as everybody knows, he interpreted the Pharaoh's dream, and that's when the Pharaoh made him second in command. Okay. And now we're going to get into Exodus, okay, because what happened was the Egyptians loved Joseph. And I could kick myself. I was reading through as I was doing a study on 10 religions and breaking them down versus the Bible, and how the Bible was saying what's going to happen with the New World Order religion thing. And I ran across this papyrus, and if I ever find it, I will post it on the site. I will let all y'all know. But it was a poem I was reading because Joseph was referred to. I did a lot of research on it as Imhotep. Okay. They removed his bones. His bones, he wasn't there. They removed because he had called to his brother, and he was like, "Look, I know I'm ruling over Egypt. I ain't down with no Egyptian burial. So when I die, take my bones with you." And as you read in Jasher and also in Genesis, Joseph was a comely man, and by that, sisters and ladies, he was a handsome man. They said he was so handsome when he was walking through. It was Egyptians cutting fruit for the Pharaoh, and they were so busy standing at them that they was cutting their hand and bleeding everywhere. They didn't even realize. So even the Pharaoh's wife was trying to jump on Joseph. You know what I'm saying? So the poem I read in the papers, like again, I gotta find it, but it was basically saying how comely he was and where did he go. At the end, it was like, where did you go? Your bones are gone. So it is even more confirmation of what the scripture said. So. But what happened was when Joseph died, of course, all of Egypt wept. They They loved Joseph. Joseph had brought his brethren in. He saved them with that 7-year plague with the corn, because the Pharaoh's dream was they would have 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine. So 7 years of plenty, they put all the food into that storage bin, and that's how everybody came to Egypt and ate, the whole world. Okay, so his brothers during that time, his brothers came. He got his brothers there with him. His brothers didn't even recognize him. That even shows even more so that we, as the children of Israel, look just like Africans. Again, because it says Ham is the father of the dark race, it's not the Negro. Why? Because the Negroes are a dark race. So down the line, what happened was there rose up a Pharaoh and a people that didn't know Joseph. You know, there rose up a whole new generation. Okay, so we're gonna go to Exodus chapter 1, 2 through 5. Then we're gonna go to 15 through 19. This is around the time when they had forgot Joseph. They wasn't worried about Joseph per se. They was doing their own thing. Okay, so Exodus chapter 1, start at verse 2. It says, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. Okay, you see his name out the tribes there. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. So Joseph was already there. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives. Going down to verse 15, if I skip it for y'all. It says, the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was, I'm going to mess up his name, Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. So all the tribes were there. We see in the beginning, the Pharaoh's giving this decree to the midwives, which were the women that gave birth when the other ladies was pregnant. And he was like, if it's a son, we're going to kill him. If it's a daughter, fine, let them live. Why? The Pharaoh was wise to Hebrew customs, because in Hebrew customs, you are what your father is. There's no such thing as mixed. You are what your father is. So he was like, if I kill off the men, no more Israel. Okay? So he evil genius with that. Okay? But the midwives feared Ahiah. They feared the Most High, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. So this is another shout out to all my sisters that's in the truth, and all the proselytes that's in the truth that are strong women. Because I see, I got to kick down another doctrine that, women just, like brothers want to just kick them under the bus. No, there was some righteous women, and there still are today, that's of the nations, and also of Israel, of course, that stand up in the face of tyranny, that stand up in the face of oppression, and that do what the Most High said against what the powers that be may say is right. So, been doing that for a long time, and we need that. We need that. We need strong women in it, just like we need strong men that's going to stand for truth. That's the only way That's the only way we're gonna survive this thing. Okay, so it says, and the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women. So they knew it was a difference. And say, for they are lively, and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. So they're saying they lively. You know what I'm saying? And they deliver ere the midwives come unto. So they having these babies. Since the midwives come in, they easy births. They're not in the long labor. You know what I'm saying? So of course Pharaoh was still trying to kill the kids, but through all the turmoil and the pain that he put Israel through in those days in Egypt, it actually came back on them when the Most High sent plagues into Egypt. If y'all listening, especially my Christians and some people that are new to hearing this for the first time, I want y'all to write this down or mark this. I'm going to show you what happened in Exodus is destined to happen in America. Not by me, but by the scriptures. Okay? What happened in Exodus, I'm saying it again, what happened in Exodus is coming to America. So we're going to go through the plagues. And again, for my Egyptologists and Kemetic brethren out there, in the Ipur papyrus, you spell Ipur, I-P-W-E-R, papyrus. The Ipur papyrus, the Egyptians was writing about these plagues. It was like, it kind of is like our book of Lamentations, where we like, man, woe is us, why is this happening? But we knew why. But they were writing about fish dying, about bulls on people, about their crops getting eaten up, you name it. So I'm just going to go through these plagues. Okay, the plague one was the water being turned into blood and the fish died. So this is Exodus chapter 7, verses 20 through 21. So we're going to be in Exodus, and we're going to be back and forth in Revelation. If y'all want to hold a place there or open up another screen, we're going to be in Exodus and also in Revelation. So Exodus 20 and 21. And Moses and Aaron did so as the Most High commanded. He again, this is the priests, the Levites, okay, and lifted up the rod and smote the waters that were in the river in the sight of Pharaoh. So Pharaoh riding by, so Pharaoh seen this, okay, and in the sight of his servants, and all the waters that were in the river turned to blood, and the fish that was in the river died, and the river stank. And the Egyptians could not drink the water of the river, and there was blood throughout the land of Egypt.
I don't want to interrupt you, but you are beginning to sound like you're a robot. Can you, of course. You can you leave the chat, or can you leave the hangout and come back in and see if that fixes it for us?
I think he just needs to move his phone.
Okay, I'll leave and I'll come back. I'll leave and return.
Actually, wait.
It sounds good there.
You're good right there.
Just
Okay.
just make sure wherever you lay your phone down, there's not a hard surface behind it.
Okay. I think the enemy is working. He's trying to stop this.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're perfect now.
Yeah.
Great. Continue.
Well, no. Yeah. Okay, we'll just take a breather for a little second for you people, just to take in what we've just heard. I mean, would we like to summarise on the little bit that we've just talked about before we move on?
Well, let's let him finish, because he's sounding good.
Yeah, he's sounding good. Yeah, I'm just getting everybody ready to get their pens out and papers, because as I said, this is a lot of information, but we're gonna get there. Trust me. Anyway, G, you're doing good, my friend. Please continue.
Cool. All praises. Okay, I think I was at Exodus. I'm just going to reread Exodus 7, 20-21. It says, and Moses and Aaron did so as the Most High commanded, and he lifted up the rod and smote the waters that were in the river in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood, and the fish that was in the river died, and the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. Okay, so this is what he did with that rod. So with that rod, the same rod that he split the Red Sea with. Now we're gonna jump way to Revelation chapter 16, verse 4.
You want it?
Okay. And you tell me if this doesn't sound like deja vu. Okay, it says, and the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man. And every living soul died in the sea. And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of waters, and they became blood. So this is Revelation. So this ain't just Egypt. You see in Revelation, it's talking about the whole world.
Right.
Okay. So let's go. Now we're going to go to the second plague, and the second plague is frogs. And, you know, I get called a conspiracy theorist every now and then, you know, and I'll take that title, you feel me? But I just thought it was funny in these past few years how you seen Kermit the Frog on everything. Oh, it's none of my business. You know, they had like little memes with him on it, and I'm like, why Kermit? So we're going to talk about this, okay? Y'all walk with me. We in Exodus chapter 8. We're going to go to verses 2 through 4. It said, and if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all the borders with frogs, and the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into thine house, and into thy bedchamber, and upon thy bed, and into the house of thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thine ovens, and into thine kneading trough. And the frogs shall come up both on thee and upon thy people, and upon all thy servants. Okay, so these are frogs just everywhere, like to the house of the servants, and their kneading troughs, and their businesses, wherever they at, there's frogs there. Okay, so we're gonna go to Revelation again. We go back to Revelation chapter 16. We're gonna go to verse 13. Okay, it says, and I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. It compares these unclean spirits to frogs that's going to be coming out of the mouth of the beast, the dragon, and the false prophet. And this is in the end time. It talks about the mother of harlots is going to be led by this false prophet. We're going to get into that. We're going to save that. But I just want y'all to remember that. You see, it's dealing with frogs. So we can go to the next plagues. Plagues 3 and 4 were the biting insects and the wild animals. Okay, this is plagues 3 and 4. Or the Exodus chapter 8, verse 17 through 18. It says, and they did so, for Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man and in beast. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth lice, but they could not. So there were lice upon man and upon beast. So when Moses threw down his rod and made it into a snake, and this is where that spirit of discernment is going to work for those that's looking to seek the truth. When Moses threw his rod down, turned to a snake, the Egyptians did the exact same thing. But that was the Most High trying to dictate and throw out there, okay, you gonna follow me or you gonna follow that? Because when I bring these plagues upon you, your magic ain't gonna work. And that's exactly what happened right here. Now we're gonna go to Revelation 6 and 6. Okay. Now this doesn't, I'm gonna say this before we even go here, is that it doesn't talk about lice. Okay, it doesn't talk about the insect, but when it's talking about when this verse was titled, it talks about a famine. Usually famine comes with that kind of uncleanness. So it says, and I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou heard not the oil and the wine. So it's dealing with a famine. Okay, now we all know, from supply and demand, from supply and demand in economics, is if everybody on the block is selling bread gonna be real cheap. But now, if something happens and only one person has bread, guess how much he could sell it for? He could probably sell it for $10 a loaf, $15 a loaf. Look what's happening in Venezuela. So I say on the heels of that, the honeybees been dying out, and the media's been mum about it. They haven't said nothing about it. But the honeybees pollinate all the food that we eat. So if the honeybee dies out, that's going to be a famine. This is when I remember when Obama was getting elected, and they're like, you're going to need a whole barrel of dollars to buy groceries. And I'm like, I feel like that already, but I see what they were saying now. I wasn't all the way in the truth then, but I'm like, yeah, I guess so, because I knew the Bible did say that. But now I see what they're talking about, because if that famine hits, exactly what's going to happen. So we're going to go to plagues 5 and 6. This is the livestock, the disease of the livestock, and also the boils. This is also in Revelation. Now, this is a little bit more clear with this one. It says, we're going to Exodus chapter 9, verses 3 through 4. Okay. It says, behold, the hand of the Most High is upon thy cattle, which is in the field, upon the horses, upon the asses, upon the camels, upon the oxen, and upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous murrain, and the Most High shall sever between the cattle of Israel and the cattle of Egypt. So he notice all these plagues is hidden, and the children of Israel ain't being affected. Okay, and there shall nothing die, all that is of the children of Israel. Okay, so we're gonna go now to Revelation 6 and 8. And I look, and I don't know if y'all ever heard that book of Behold the Pale Horse. Okay. This is where the title comes from, Revelation 6 and 8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat upon him was Death, and hell followed him. And the power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and the last part here, and with the beast of the earth. I don't know if y'all seen, it was a couple weeks ago in Norwegia, I believe, or I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but a lightning strike hit and killed like 300 deer.
Yeah, I was, I can't remember who told me, or I saw something about the pale horse, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that the actual colour of the horse is actually green, but they actually refer to it as pale, obviously in the scriptures, but it is green again. So, you know, I thought that might have some significance there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've actually heard that too. I haven't looked into it, but yeah, it's very, very interesting to say the least. But I even want to precept this back to Genesis. He made the animals in the fifth day. So the animals, just like they was made first, they gonna die first. So he sees. I know y'all seen all these things. I look, and I encourage anybody listening to look into this. Just type in large groups and type in the animal name dying, and you'll find it. I did it with chickens. I did it with oxen. I did it with fish. Oh man! And everywhere especially birds falling out of the sky, literally. Science has no answer for it. And people say it's chemtrails. We know that's part of it, but it's worldwide. It's everywhere. So, speaking of weather, we're going to go to the plague number 7, which is hail. Okay, Exodus chapter 9, 18 through 19. It says, "Behold, tomorrow about this time I will cause it to rain a very grievous hail, such as hath not been in Egypt since the foundation thereof, even until now. Send therefore now and gather thy cattle and all that thou hast in the field, for upon every man and beast which shall be found in the field and shall not be brought home, the hell shall come down upon them, and they shall die." So right there, because in the think about these Exodus movies, Hollywood is nothing but the serpent. They're very subtle because they'll play this scene. I've seen a movie, the old one. I ain't seen a new one. The old one is like regular hell when we walk outside. You know, little pieces of ice. I'm going to show you why the Most High said that. If you outside when this hell comes, you're going to die. We can go to back to Revelation chapter 16, verse 21. Okay. It said, "And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven." You see how it was precepted? "Every stone about the weight of a talent, and men blasphemed the Most High because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great." Now I'm going to go to Greek Strong's for that talent, because it says every stone about the weight of a talent, about the stone of hail, right? This is Greek Strong 5006. It's teletiaios, and then how you spell it is TALANTIAIOS. The definition is worth a talent, i.e. of a talent's weight. We go down to the NSAB translation. It says it's 100 pounds. So 100-pound blocks of ice falling from the sky. This is what Egypt was hit with. This is what it says we're going to be hit with in Revelation.
Wow. So we're not talking your normal everyday, Illinois hail here.
Right. We're not talking golf balls here. We talking probably what Brock Lesnar and The Rock probably crunched before they came out, falling from the sky, 100 pounds.
Now you're getting what verse are you using the Strongs for?
That was the verse Revelation 16 and 21, and the word was talent. When it says about the weight of a talent, and the Hebrew Strong's number is 5006. I'm sorry, the Greek Strong's is 5006.
Okay. I'm just putting it up, and I'm trying to keep up with you and putting everything in the chat room as you're talking. So.
Oh, okay. And that's no problem. That's good. So they can see it.
Right. Go ahead.
Now we're in plague number 8. Okay, and this is the locust. Okay, he also used the locust to make the Egyptians act right, but of course we know they didn't. Okay, so plague number 8, it says we're in Exodus chapter 10, verse 14 and 15. Okay, it says, and the locust went up, over all the land of Egypt and rested in the coast of Egypt. Very grievous were they. Before them there were no such locusts as they, neither after them shall be such. For they covered the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened. They did and they did eat every herb of the land and the fruit of the trees which the hell had left. So whatever the hell left, they ate. And there remained not any green thing in the trees or in the herbs of the field through all the land of Egypt. So now we're going to go to Revelation chapter 9, verse 3. Okay. It says, and there came out of the smoke locusts upon earth, and unto them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power. So these ain't talking about regular locusts here either. This is what's coming.
Right.
Yeah, this is what's coming. In the end times. Okay. And we're gonna go to. I got 2 more plagues to go through. Then we probably have to get 2 of my little ones. Is probably having a field day in my house right about now. Plague 9 was darkness. Okay. We'll go to Exodus chapter 10, verse 21 to 25. Okay, and it says, and the Most High said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one another, neither arose any from his place for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings. And Pharaoh called unto Moses and said, go ye, serve the Most High, only let your flocks and your herds be stayed. Again, this is the evil genius of the Pharaoh. He's saying, let your flocks and herds be stayed. Why? Because he didn't want them to sacrifice unto a higher. It said, let your little ones also go with you. So they said, y'all can go, but leave your flocks and herds here. And Moses said, thou must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice unto the Most High our power. So Moses was wise to that. Okay, so then we go down here. It's 2 places in Revelations. We're going to go to first Revelation 16 and 10. And then we're going to go to Revelations 8 and 12. So in Revelation 16 and 10, it says, and the 5th angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and the kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain. So again, this isn't a regular darkness. It said this darkness can be felt. Okay, so we're gonna go to Revelations again, 8 and 12. It said, and the 4th angel sounded, and the 3rd part of the sun was smitten, and the 3rd part of the moon, and the 3rd part of the stars, so as the 3rd part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a 3rd part of it, and the night likewise. Okay, and I'm gonna go to the last one here. Okay, this is plague number 10, the death of the firstborn. Okay, this is when they were having the first Passover, and yes, according to Jubilees, we're supposed to keep the Passover even in captivity, because the first Passover was kept in captivity. Exodus chapter 12, verse 7. Okay, we're actually getting through a lot of this, y'all. I think we'll be able to do this much. But I'm going to start reading. It says, and they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper doorpost of the houses wherein they shall eat it. Okay, so the blood of the lamb, the unblemished lamb, you strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper post of the houses. So that's the door. Okay, and we know the death angel came, and whatever that lamb, that unblemished lamb blood was, the firstborn lived. We know that the Messiah is what? The firstborn of the Most High. The blood of the what? Blood of the Lamb. So we can go to Revelation chapter 12. Okay, and it says, we're gonna go, I'm sorry, Revelation 12 and verse 11. Go to verse 11. And it says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. So just right there, the blood of the Lamb saved the people in Egypt. The blood of the Lamb is going to save his children and those believers in the time that's going to come. It's about the blood of the Lamb. So I'm just going to stop right there for now. And just open it up, see if anybody has anything that they want to say.
Well, yeah. What you just said about the last part about his children and the believers. So where we can define believers are, you know, not Hebrews but Gentiles. But
Right. I mean by believers, I mean his children that believe.
The children. Yeah, the children, but Gentiles that are also keeping the laws, the commandments, and the statutes. Yeah, you know,
correct.
The sojourner.
Yeah, and the sojourner, the stranger that, you know, that are coming to the land, but keep the commandments the same. Because what a lot of Christians don't realize is that where Messiah, where Amashiach, where Christ, when he was around, he was keeping the commandments. Yeah,
Correct.
He was keeping the laws and he was keeping the statutes. Yeah, so was
correct. No, you're hitting it right on the head, brother.
Yeah, the apostles, the disciples were keeping the laws. Yeah, so were the apostles. They were all keeping the laws. You know.
Right.
Yeah. So this is what Christians need to understand. Yeah, that this is where the great the confusion has come in, where the Christian Church, the Roman Catholic Church, and the Christian Church has told Christians that, you know, that the law's been done away with. Yeah, you know that.
Dangerous doctrine. Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to explain over time where this is not true, right? And this is where you need to make that kind of judgment call of, well, you know, is this going to convict me enough to actually look into this and see if it's true? Because a lot of pastors will not tell you this. Yeah, you'll go to church on a Sunday and they'll tell you anything but the truth, which is unfortunate.
Well, I mean, we all know that that's because they're trying to get people to sit in their. If they have your butt in a seat, then they have your money in the bed. So,
you know,
it's all about.
Or as the saying goes, it's Sunday. Where's my money?
Well, one of the most interesting things that comes up constantly when it concerns Christianity is that people don't look at the like 3,700 sub partitions of what they call Christianity, which all come from the Roman Catholic Church, and who founded them. And when you look at who founded Mormonism, Jehovah Witness, Lutheran, Baptist, Mormon, Evangelical, at a tie into Masonry, which I'm sure that G is going to wind up hitting in the future. But the most important thing is, especially for people that want to profess themselves to be Christian, ask what the Messiah said you're supposed to be. One of the most important things that I've found out when I'm trying to study the Word, at the end of the day, is what did the Father say and what did His Son say. Everybody, and don't explain it for yourself. It's pretty cut and dry. What did He say? And if you lean on that instead of your own understanding, it's hard to go wrong.
Right, and I'm so glad that all of you brought that up. I'm so glad that you clarified that, because I'm gonna even add on to it and say, if you are in the church, are you learning from a body? I want you to look up 501c3. That is, it is imperative that you understand that. I went to. I'm not bragging here. I went to school and I had a cool teacher. He wanted me to go in for taxes. I hate taxes. I don't like to deal with them, but what I did learn is amazing about 501c3. Your government basically has a if your church group, whoever you with, your organization has a 501c3 contract. They basically
run fast, run far.
Exactly.
Get a taxi, get in the car, get a plane.
Right, but I really want to tell people though. I really want to tell them because they might be like, "Oh, well, my pastor's so nice and his wife is nice and this and that." If they are 501c3, they have a contract with the government, the very same government that's imposing. Right.
They've placed the government in the place of God as the leader of the church.
There you go. There you go.
And then
All for men.
And then they're to tickle your ears.
Right. Exactly. You're not going to get the truth with those churches because actually those preachers, those ministers have to have their sermons approved. You'll notice if you go to those churches, there's only really, I think the number's 23 different sermons that every preacher preaches, and they just keep recycling them. And none of them really tell us anything the truth that we need to know. They just spew out the same false doctrine, the doctrine of man, over and over and over and over again.
Live your best life now and all that, yeah.
And it's pretty. Go ahead. It's pretty interesting that y'all brought that up because right now, since we don't follow what the churches are supposed to be doing for the most part, we don't go to churches. We fellowship amongst each other. Where two or more are gathered, and speaking of him, he's there. The churches now today, if you look, they're saying that for the Protestants, and this is very important, that the protest is over, and some of your major figures are leaning towards the Pope, and all religions are coming together underneath the Pope to talk about Sabbath being on Sunday, and the protest is over, and people need to come back to the mother church. And that's all prophesied in Revelations as well. So it's very important that you do, like, I can't stress this enough, people, and I know some of it might be, it might hit cognitive dissonance and bring up emotion in you, but lose the emotion, study, test all things, test it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't test it, here's the biggest thing. If you test it, and you can show, I'm sure anybody here that on something that we talked about we're wrong, we're going to bless you for it, because the only purpose is to find the truth.
Exactly.
But if you don't find out that it's wrong, you have a chance to learn something which will probably help you with your salvation and your relationship with the Most High and His Son. It's very important. And like Lori had said earlier, this is done out of love. There's no bigotry.
No,
there's no hatred.
And we want to balance this out as well. We're not just talking about Christian churches, yeah. We're also talking about some Hebrew camps as well, right? There are some camps out there that are 501c3, and I don't really want to mention any names, but there have been found out, with a quick internet search, you can trace back some of those places to 501c3s. And you have to ask yourself, if they are in the truth, why are they 501c3 tax exempt organizations? If they
COINTELPRO.
COINTELPRO, yes, absolutely, right? So we're not just having a dig at Christian churches or any denominations, yeah? We're talking about across the board as well, yeah?
Yeah, it's never a dig at anybody, because what everybody has to remember is that the powers that be, hold on a second, excuse me. Sorry about that, I had to sneeze. The powers that be that are in at the top, everybody else is being misled. Here's something that's really scary for everybody to think about. If it wasn't for the Protestant Reformation, everybody would be Catholic. And if you weren't Catholic, they would have killed you because you're a heretic. You need to understand that the powers that be have everybody fighting each other and to confuse the history and the issue on purpose to keep us dumb. And as you dig further into all of this stuff, the more eye-opening it becomes. Just like the other night, Lori and Robbie had a gentleman on, and he was talking about the neutron bomb. And some people that are old enough, they know that they did have a neutron bomb. And the purpose of the neutron bomb is it would destroy life that was in the area, but it wouldn't kill It wouldn't destroy the land and the buildings. The
No.
scary thing about the neutron bomb is what it actually did, and now all the other countries in the world don't have them except for one. It's really frightening, but unless you dig and look for this information and search for it, you don't know. So
No.
don't let cognitive dissonance stop you. Excuse me. Don't let your emotions stop you. Dig
Right.
into what's being said, test it, and then come back. Please. I mean, it's done out of love. Love you y'all so much. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've been putting up the links that we've been talking about, the biblical links. Also, you guys, if you just joined us, you can go back and you can listen to this broadcast. And this is just part 1. Part 2 will be tomorrow. G, can you tell us a little bit what we're going to be talking about tomorrow as far as the outline?
Sure. We actually got through a lot of it tonight. It was very, we got through a big part of it, you know. So tomorrow we're gonna go through we're gonna finish out Egypt, then we're gonna jump into all the other captivities, and if we get through as much as we might be able to round this out to tomorrow as far as the history, and bring it home and show at the very end where all the kingdoms where these people, these chosen people that we're discussing are going to be at the end times according to scripture, both Old and New Testament.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Interject on one thing to the fellow Christians who are listening, and once again, don't feel bad or don't feel like it's the end of the world, because once again, I was a confessing Christian for 2.5 years, but once research began to really settle in, I'm going to understand the real biblical standpoint, accurate history when I'm to the Hebraic understanding, is that we must understand this: when the Messiah was crucified, and his deemed followers who were his people, as they began to teach what he taught, there was no doctrine, there was no evidence of them confessing themselves as a new religion of Christianity, of Judaism, of Zionism, or nothing. But they were strictly teaching the mission of the Messiah, and the Messiah was to come and to regather his people. Is to bring them back to the law, statutes, and commandments, because, like you said, they had them kind of went every which way, which is why you see all throughout Scripture, you said, go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, so on and so forth. But his sole mission was to bring his people back in line with the law, statutes, and commandments. Be a light unto all nations, to bring them back to the objective righteousness of law, statutes, and commandments. And Christianity has nothing to do with that. Zionism has nothing to do with that. Judaism has nothing to do with that. That has nothing to understand with the biblical understanding of everything. And once again, let me say this before the Most High, or any other religion, everything else is man-made. But the Hebraic understanding of Torah, which is Yorah, means to aim out at the mark. He was literally establishing the ethic code for the earth. And see, what makes this Torah so special is that it didn't come from any other person, or it wasn't man-made, but this was established strategically by the Most High. And this is why the laws, statutes, and commandments are very important to us, and should be important to others as well.
Yeah.
One of the big things that everybody needs to remember is that what they call the Bible, which is the Torah, Old and New Testament, is not a religion. It says it over and over again, and within itself, it is a book of laws, statutes, and commandments. Religion is of men. And if people don't get that understanding, they're going to be in trouble.
Mm.
Of course. And plus, we need to understand where the word religion derived from. It derived from the Latin term, which is to bind, which is, pretty much to kind of keep you at a standstill, to keep you at a halt. And you understand, too, we must understand this, too. Another reason why there's so many denominations, there was a lot of psychological warfare going on from them snatching from the Hebraic understanding from the law, statutes, and commandments, and for them creating all these religions. The psychological pattern that was taken is to always to try to keep people scattered. I don't know what to go. Do I turn to Baptist? Do I do the Pentecostal? Do I all step to AME? And all these things were concocted by slave masters and oppressors. So it's important that we do away with that doctrine, because once again, the oppressor cannot really teach you anything.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And anything he teaches is lies, is vain, and he has a greedy intention behind it. That's why we must do it and go back to the foundation of where it comes from.
Yeah, and I want to throw this out there for everybody else. Now, when we say, well, I don't know what he says, but when I say oppressor, this is for everybody. This is not people of color or Asian. This is all of us.
Yeah, I'm talking that because they push this agenda on everybody.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
The agenda at heart is a satanic agenda, because at the end of the day, all the religions that were created and taken from
religions were designed to divide people. I believe they were designed to divide the people. They were designed to divide, and they were designed to hide and to twist what is written in the word.
Yeah, well, it was Satan's ultimate agenda to create a religion out of something that was pure.
Because it worked.
Go ahead, Lori. I don't mean to interrupt. My apologies.
No, I was saying because he counterfeits everything. So of course he's going to counterfeit the one thing, and that is, he's going to counterfeit the faith, the word, and he's going to call it religion.
Here's something for everybody to chew on that's a listener. You have, I'll just name 5 real quick. You have Mormonism, Jehovah's Witness, Evangelical, Baptist, and Lutheran. All of them claim that in their church, they have it right. All of them teach something a little bit different. But when you read the word, it says there is no way to the Father except through the Son.
Yeah.
So how can these different parts of Christianity created by man that you can trace to a Mason who made it say that they have it right when the word says flat out, and the Messiah says it flat out, and the Father says it flat out? There's no way to the Father except through the Son.
Yeah.
And you must keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, period.
And taking that one step further, okay, if you look at the different religions of the world, let's look at Mormonism, let's look at Islam, and looking at a lot of the other ones. They were these religions were given to men by angels that came down and appeared to them. And in Galatians chapter 1 verse 8, we are warned that should an angel come from heaven and preach a gospel other than that we preached, or the one that God has preached, God is under God's curse. Let him be accursed. Don't listen to it. And here we have these religions that are, Gabriel came down and this angel came down, and no. If an angel comes down and gives the gospel contrary to what the one is written in the Bible, then he is to be accursed.
Right. I just want to say this because my phone is blinking here. But what lead off what you just said about these fallen angels that taught men. It says it clearly in the scriptures. Even Satan is seen as an angel of light. He disguises himself as an angel of light. He knows that if he comes down looking all evil, or if he takes another form, that people are gonna. It's like you may see something and think that it's good for you, and really that's the worst thing for you. And that's exactly what religion is. We think a lot of people, when I came out and told them, hey, I woke up, I can't call myself a Christian no more. Why? Because the Bible never calls the followers of Christ a Christian. Other people call us Christians. We never once did the apostles raise up and say, in this Christianity, or me being a Christian, now they call themselves apostles and the disciples and followers. The Christians were really called people of the way, because why? They followed the way, the truth, and the light, which is Yahshua. And on the heels of that, I want to say this before the phone cuts off on me, is that if the easiest way to find out if you're dealing with a religion is idolism. Every religion is connected to an idol. Judaism has an idol. It's that star. You go through the Christians, got the cross, the Kaaba stone. It goes on and on and on. If you're dealing with the church that has an idol standing outside, I would seriously look into that 501c3 thing, and not just look into what it is, but look into the stipulations. There's plenty of people that did studies on this online, and you can go and look it up and see what they said about it and see what they presented about it from the law. And these pastors can't go over certain scriptures by the law.
We've got a book. We've got a book that was written by a very good friend of ours, by Jeff Hayes. It's the second part of the Rise of the New World Order. It's called The Awakening. The Culling of Man. It's a part 2. It's called The Awakening. It actually goes into the descriptions of all the religions and where they came from the stem of how they were created, and they all stem back to Satan. If you ever get a chance, anybody that's listening in the chat room, to actually go onto the SamaritanSentinel.com, and actually you can download this book on ebook. I think you can get it in paperback, but you can actually download it in e-form. Yeah, it's not a very long book. It's only a couple of hundred pages, but it will actually go into detail about all the religions that stem back from through the fallen angels, all the way through from all the idols, all the false gods. They all where Satan has all played a major part in all of these behind the scenes.
And I actually think it's time to get Mr. Hayes back on the show so we can talk with him about his second book.
He's actually listening tonight, believe
I know he is. I know he's listening. I saw the message. So, Mr. Hayes, if you're in the chat room, hi. Haven't talked to you in a while. I miss you so much. And we're going to have to get on, and we're going to have to talk about your new book, because now you're on and he's writing his third book, guys.
He is.
He is.
Incredible.
Give him the time to actually finish the book, so we'll get time to read it, because he writes some good stuff. And it's all based on research. It's all based on research. There's no opinion in there, you know, and it's a very good read.
Exactly. So I want to thank, I think this is a good place to stop part 1. I think tomorrow night we're going to pick up same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for part 2. I want to thank you guys. This was a great show. GE, Martin, Robbie, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
Adar.
I'm so sorry. Thank you guys so much for coming in and talking with everybody, and providing the truth, according to the Bible, because this is something that we've been trying to get out to everybody. And guys, please, if you're in the chat room, if you're watching this, don't believe a word we say. Pull out your Bibles, because we provided you with the links. Pull out your Bibles and study. And if test the spirits, please. And we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night. So same bad time, same bad channel, guys.
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes,
Awesome.
boss.
So that will be part 2. All right. Guys, I just want to do one quick announcement. The 24-hour or 24/7 chat room is open. If somebody could put the link up in the chat room. Hold on a second. Let me get Scott.
We will be back on tomorrow in the day at some point, because we've got to cover some stories that have happened.
I actually will probably be back on here in just a little bit.
Well, I'll be back with you then. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, only because there is some breaking news having to do with the Russian story, and I do want to do an update on Matthew one more time tonight. So I think we'll do like a news wrap up of the day here, probably in just maybe 40 minutes or so. We'll take a break. But I'm going to put the 24/7. We have it open. Please, everybody, be respectful in there. Don't let's show people the same respect that we show them in the actual show chat rooms, and show them in the 24/7 chat room, because I have no problem shutting it down should it get out of hand.
Sorry.
Or any disrespect shown to our viewers.
I'd just like to stress again, right? We're going to be leading up all the way through the Old Testament and through the New Testament, but we're also going to be covering through the history all the way to present day.
All the way to present day, and we're going to show you guys exactly what these race wars are about.
Yeah.
Oh, and something for everybody, because I saw this come up. It's everybody has a chance to be saved.
Yes.
Don't get with. This is not one of those Black
Oh,
Hebrew
right.
tribe groups or Hebraic roots, whatever. It
No.
says directly in Revelation, the Hebrew and the Gentile. Everybody has a chance to be saved. So please
Yeah.
throw that out the window.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
yeah, and do not mistake it. We are not Hebrew rooters, okay?
No.
We are
Thank
not
you.
sacred neighbors. We are not anything like that. You
No.
know, that's not what we're about.
No. We're not. We're
We,
not secret Masons. We haven't got a lodge to go to in a minute for any secret meetings and funny handshake business.
right.
We're not Hebrew roots, and we're not camps. We're just people. We're individuals, right? We've come into the truth by the grace of the Most High. We've been brought together, and we are taking advantage of the opportunity that's given to us with the short time that we've got to be able to transmit
Absolutely.
the truth to you, so you can make a decision yourselves.
Right.
We're not going to force. We're not forcing this down you. We're just presenting it to you because we feel compelled that we have to, because we're in the truth. We've seen the truth. We know the deception as best as we can, and you know, that's how it is. You know, it is what it is. You know.
That's right. That's right.
Actually, if somebody in the chat room said, will links be provided from tonight's topic? I did provide the scripture in the chat room. No, I probably won't go back and do it into the description area. You'll have to go back and you'll have to listen for yourselves to get that. I apologize. Or you can, I think there might be a available. I do have the transcription option enabled for my shows. So go back and look at the transcription. I'm sure you'll be able to grab it off of there probably easier. So. Robbie, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me at Illuminati Soldiers of Truth page on Facebook. You can find me at ESWG Exposing Satanic World Government page on Facebook as well. But you can also find us at the same title as this show tonight, the Ultimate Hebrew Israelite Awakening page. Please go there and subscribe. There is a very interesting video on the pinned wall at the top, which kind of explains what we're saying tonight, but over 50 minutes, which will give you a little bit of an eye opener.
Right.
It's not, you know, we're not going strictly with that, with what they are saying. We will, you know, we're elaborating on a whole different spectrum.
Right.
But it will give you a little taster. You know, the page isn't about hate. You know, it says on there, you know, as Hebrew Israelites, we are to be a light to the Gentiles, right? So we're not excluding anyone. Yeah, we're not bashing anyone. All we're about is about the truth and nothing but. Okay.
Because us as Hebrew Israelites, unlike the other camps that we see a whole lot of the hate campaign that they have, they've forgotten their true calling, and the true calling of the Hebrew was to be a light unto all, and that's something that we must never forget.
Exactly. And, you know, we're coming with you guys out of the utmost love for the Most High. And, you know, we want to get this truth out to you guys. I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. I want to thank everybody in the chat room. Join Robbie and I. We're going to be on live probably about 35 minutes now. We're going to do updates of the day's wrap up of Matthew. And we do have some breaking news on the Russian, Syrian, Damascus story that we broke earlier. So join us back here in about 35 minutes. Thank you, guys. God bless.
Shalom.
Blessings.
Shalom.